Okay, so today we're going deep on something that's well, it's pretty concerning when you really look into it. It's all this uh, enterprise IoT and cyber physical system stuff.
Mhm.
All this interconnected tech that everyone uses but doesn't really think much about.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like preparing for hurricane season, but in the cyber world.
Exactly, like you don't want to be caught off guard,
Right.
when that big one hits.
Exactly.
And what's really interesting is that these new sophisticated hacking groups, they're even getting these hurricane style names.
Yeah, the typhoons.
Yeah, so we got to understand what these typhoon actors are all about,
Yeah.
and what anyone who manages these systems should be doing to prepare.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess the first question is like, why are we calling these groups typhoons? Like, where did that even come from?
Well, it seems like it's just a way to track these emerging threats more easily.
Like just like hurricanes.
Yeah, like Volt Typhoon,
Yeah.
Flax Typhoon, Salt Typhoon.
So is it safe to say that these are all like kind of similar in terms of their tactics?
Well, yeah, they share some similarities, but each typhoon group represents a distinct threat. They have
Okay.
their own unique characteristics and targets.
Okay, so let's break down the first one then. Volt Typhoon.
Yeah.
So what do we know about them?
So Volt Typhoon was first spotted by Microsoft back in May 2023.
Oh wow, so they're pretty recent.
Yeah, and the suspicion is that they're state-backed, likely by China,
Oh wow.
and their methods are they're not as sophisticated as you might think.
Oh really?
Yeah, they exploit common weaknesses in IoT devices like weak passwords, default logins, outdated software.
So basically stuff that people should have taken care of but didn't.
Exactly. It's like leaving your front door wide open.
Yeah, not a good idea.
And they use these vulnerabilities to build what are called botnets.
Botnets.
Yeah, basically armies of compromised devices that they can control remotely.
Oh wow, so like a zombie army of devices?
Yeah, and they use these botnets to target critical infrastructure like communications, water, energy transportation.
Ah, that's scary stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely a cause for concern.
So uh we've been talking about Volt Typhoon, but you mentioned earlier that there are other typhoon groups like Flax Typhoon and Salt Typhoon, right?
Right.
So are these other groups also using these kind of straightforward tactics?
Yeah, there are definite similarities in their methods, which suggests a sort of pattern emerging.
A trend?
Yeah, like a playbook that's being shared.
Okay, so these aren't just isolated incidents.
No, these typhoons are part of a larger strategy employed by what we call APT groups.
AP2 groups.
Advanced Persistent Threat Groups, which are essentially highly skilled and often state-sponsored hacking organizations.
So this is some serious stuff.
Yeah, this isn't just some kids messing around in their basement.
Right. So I guess the question then is why target these IoT operational technology, OT and industrial control systems, ICS, in the first place?
Right, so OT and ICS are the systems that control physical processes and infrastructure.
Yeah.
And what makes them so effective for attackers is that they often appear to be coming from legitimate IP addresses.
So they can bypass security.
Yeah, it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just a couple of hacked smart home devices we're talking about here, right?
No, not at all. The scale of these botnets is massive.
Okay, so give me some numbers then. Like, how big are we talking?
Well, Black Lotus Labs tracked Flax Typhoon's botnet called Raptor Train.
Raptor Train.
Yeah, and by June 2023, it had infected over 60,000 devices,
Wow.
with over half of those being in North America.
So it's a global problem.
Absolutely.
And then there's the FBI warning from September 2024
Right?
about Chinese-linked actors compromising over 260,000 devices for the Salt Typhoon botnet.
Mostly routers.
Routers.
Yeah.
That's a huge number.
Yeah, and it just highlights how vulnerable these everyday devices are.
So it's not just about the scale of these attacks, but also their sophistication.
Exactly. The bots used by Salt Typhoon have been adapted to run on over 50 different types of operating systems. Yeah, which makes them incredibly versatile and difficult to defend against.
Especially since traditional IT security solutions typically only support a handful of operating systems. Okay, so knowing all of this, what can enterprises actually do to protect themselves from these typhoon threats?
Well, the first step is visibility. You need to know what you're dealing with.
Yeah, makes sense.
So implement an IoT-aware discovery solution that can identify all connected devices, the applications that manage them, and how they communicate.
So basically map out your entire IoT ecosystem.
Exactly.
Okay, then what?
Then it's all about vulnerability. Remediation, patch those systems, enforce strong passwords, and use certificate-based authentication.
Okay, so basic cyber hygiene, but for IoT.
Yeah. But you also need to think about things like disabling unused services, segmenting your network to contain breaches, monitoring traffic, regularly rebooting devices, and replacing any outdated equipment that's no longer supported.
So it's a multi-layered approach.
Yeah, and the speed and scale at which you implement these measures is crucial.
So basically, don't wait until the storm hits to board up your windows.
Exactly.
Right? So to sum it all up, the threat to enterprises from these Typhoon groups is growing rapidly.
Yeah, and it's really being fueled by the explosion of interconnected devices.
And the fact that these groups are actively exploiting vulnerabilities in this often overlooked IoT infrastructure.
Right.
So for anyone listening, I think it's worth asking yourself, how secure are your own systems? Are you prepared for this kind of attack?
It's a good question to ask.
Yeah, because it's not a matter of if, but when these threats will hit.
Exactly.
Well, that's our deep dive for today. Thanks for listening, and stay safe out there.
Yeah, stay vigilant.
Yeah,
Here.
okay.
See ya.
Take care.